The Belgorod region, located in western Russia near the Ukrainian border, plays a crucial role in the course of the war as a strategic point. Recently, the intensification of clashes in the region has escalated further as Ukraine extends its military operations across the border, targeting Russia's logistical routes. Belgorod, which holds significant military and political importance, has become a critical frontline for both sides of the conflict. In this video, we will examine the region's strategic value, its significance for both Ukraine and Russia, and how it has turned into a battlefield in light of recent developments. Ukraine's operations in the Belgorod region have intensified in recent weeks, leading to a new phase of cross-border conflict. On March 18, 2025, the Ukrainian military launched an operation in Russia's Belgorod Oblast, targeting border regions such as Demidovka and Prylysy. This operation is seen as part of Ukraine's efforts to exert pressure on strategic targets within Russia. According to reports from the Dnipro-Osint group, Ukrainian forces targeted significant bridges in Grafivka and Nadezhdivka in Belgorod. These bridges are considered critical points for Russian military supply lines. According to information obtained by the BBC, Ukrainian armed forces operations in the Belgorod region have been ongoing for at least a week. The Russian Ministry of Defense announced in a statement on March 18th that Ukrainian forces were attempting to advance toward the settlements of Demidovka and Prylysy in the Krasnoyaruski district. The attacks on villages along the border between the Belgorod and Kursk regions of Russia involved around 200 Ukrainian soldiers and 29 military vehicles. Vyacheslav Gladkov, the governor of Belgorod region, announced the evacuation of border residents and described the situation in the area as very difficult. In particular, Ukrainian artillery and drone strikes have limited the movement of Russian forces in the region. According to Osint researchers, as of March 26th, the Ukrainian army continues to fight for control of 2 Russian settlements. The Kiev government has not made any statement regarding the situation in Belgorod. Notably, during Ukraine's attack on the Kursk region, in August 2024, the Russian Ministry of Defense claimed in the early days that the attack had been repelled and that Ukrainian forces were pushed back to the border. However, this information was later proven to be untrue. So, what is the strategic importance of Belgorod? Belgorod is located in the western part of Russia, very close to the Ukrainian border. Due to its geographical location, it has been of strategic importance for both Russia and Ukraine since the beginning of the war, especially since it is only 40 kilometers away from Ukraine's large city of Kharkiv. Belgorod has become one of the key centers of conflict. Russia uses this region as a base for its military operations, while Ukraine tries to stop the progress of the Russian army by attacking military targets in the area. For Russia, Belgorod is a critical logistics center where troops, ammunition, and fuel are sent to the front lines. The railways and highways here are actively used to support operations in Kharkiv and the Donbas region. As a result, Ukraine's attacks on Belgorod could directly affect the mobility of Russian forces on the front lines. Belgorod is also important as part of Russia's defense line. To stop Ukraine's attacks and protect border areas, Russia has deployed strong air defense systems and military units in the region. For Ukraine, Belgorod is a strategic target that could change the course of the war. The Ukrainian army is targeting military bases, ammunition depots, and logistics routes in the region in an effort to weaken Russia's war capacity. Attacks on Belgorod complicate Russia's operations inside Ukraine and also make the effects of the war more visible to the Russian public. Such attacks have the potential to increase pressure on the Russian government and change the course of the war. Recently, Ukraine has increased its drone and missile strikes targeting military assets in Belgorod. Attacks, particularly with long-range weapon systems like HIMARS, have caused significant damage to the region's military infrastructure. In response, Russia has been strengthening its air defense and trying to establish new defensive lines along the border. However, Ukraine's continuous pressure is making the security situation in the region increasingly complex. The main reason for the intensification of the conflict in Belgorod is its critical position, both for offense and defense. For Russia, securing the region is vital to continue its operations in Ukraine. For Ukraine, weakening Russia's military presence in Belgorod is an important move that could change the direction of the war. As a result, the conflict around Belgorod is expected to escalate further in the coming period. March 25, 2025. The 2nd Mechanized Battalion of the 67th Motorized Rifle Brigade detected Russian forces west of the village of Zhuravka in the Sumy region, near the border. After confirming the enemy's location, Ukrainian artillery units launched an intense bombardment. As a result of the attack, Russian infantry suffered heavy losses, and some soldiers were left immobilized with injuries. Following the artillery strikes, Ukrainian forces continued to monitor the area using unmanned aerial vehicles. Upon identifying the presence of wounded and defenseless Russian soldiers, the Ukrainian army launched a second attack using armed drones. This operation, carried out with precision strikes, resulted in the neutralization of numerous Russian troops. March 25, 2025. The Special Operations Center, operating in coordination with Ukrainian Military Intelligence (GUR), identified the location of an advanced Russian aerial refueling station. In the area where the station was located, the Russian army had deployed 2 Mi-8 utility helicopters and 2 Ka-52 attack helicopters. After confirming the target, Ukrainian forces quickly mobilized and began preparations for the attack. The operation utilized M-30A2 rockets and advanced precision-guided munition. Thanks to the Ukrainian forces' pinpoint strike, the Russian aerial assets were systematically destroyed. The M-30A2 is a US-made guided multiple-launch rocket system that can be fired from the HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, and the M270 MLRS, Multiple Launch Rocket System platforms. Its key feature is its effectiveness against armored vehicles, fortified positions, and densely concentrated enemy troops. It is an upgraded version of the M30A1 model and is equipped with an advanced warhead. This rocket contains over 180,000 tungsten pellets, which disperse over a wide area upon detonation, creating a lethal effect against personnel, lightly armored vehicles, and exposed targets. While its impact is similar to traditional cluster munitions, it is considered safer as it does not leave behind unexploded ordnance. Since the M30A2 is GPS-guided, it can strike targets with high precision, especially at long ranges, giving Ukraine a significant advantage. In the Russia-Ukraine war, this munition plays a crucial role for the Ukrainian army. It is ideal for breaching Russian defensive lines, striking fortifications, and inflicting damage on massed enemy troops. Particularly in the Eastern Front, where Russia relies heavily on trench warfare, these rocket strikes can disrupt enemy positions and leave soldiers vulnerable in open terrain. Additionally, the GPS guidance system helps bypass Russian air defense systems, increasing the likelihood of a successful strike. March 25, 2025. Ground forces and the unmanned aerial vehicle unit of the 110th Mechanized Brigade detected a Russian military convoy near the village of Velika Novosilka in the Donetsk region. The convoy consisted of armored personnel carriers, logistics support vehicles, and trucks likely carrying ammunition. Recognizing the strategic importance of the route the Russian forces were advancing on, Ukrainian troops wasted no time and began preparations for an attack. The first strike was carried out by Ukrainian drone operators, targeting the convoy with UAVs. Initially, the lead and rear vehicles were hit to limit the convoy's mobility. This maneuver disrupted the coordination of the Russian forces, throwing them into chaos. As the attack unfolded, several vehicles were destroyed and Russian soldiers scattered in different directions in a disorganized retreat. The breakdown of the convoy's formation provided Ukrainian forces with an opportunity to conduct more precise and effective strikes. As the assault continued, Ukrainian operators systematically targeted critical points on enemy vehicles, destroying them one by one. In the first phase, priority was given to fuel and ammunition transport trucks, triggering large explosions that further intensified the chaos within the convoy. Meanwhile, armored vehicles were struck at their most vulnerable points, neutralizing them effectively. Having suffered heavy losses, some surviving Russian soldiers abandoned their vehicles and attempted to seek cover in open terrain. However, the primary mission for Ukrainian forces was to ensure the complete destruction of the convoy. The Russian infantry scattered across the battlefield had little chance of survival in the rugged and exposed landscape. Confident that they could locate and eliminate these soldiers later, Ukrainian troops first focused on fully annihilating the military vehicles. While no clear details about the fate of the Russian soldiers were available from the footage, Past operations suggest that survivors typically attempt to hide in ruined buildings, abandoned shelters, or natural terrain. However, in open areas, such attempts at concealment are quickly detected by Ukrainian reconnaissance drones, and fleeing soldiers are soon identified and neutralized. March 25, 2025. The 117th Mechanized Brigade detected a Russian armored convoy moving near the village of Vozdvizhenka in the Donetsk region. The convoy consisted of infantry fighting vehicles, IFVs, armored personnel carriers, APCs, and logistics support vehicles likely carrying ammunition and fuel. Once Ukrainian reconnaissance units confirmed the exact route and position of the enemy forces, a decision was made to launch an attack. In the first phase of the operation, Ukrainian artillery units initiated a heavy bombardment on the convoy. Long-range artillery fire restricted the movement of Russian vehicles, while drone attacks were simultaneously deployed. Kamikaze drones and guided munitions-equipped UAVs targeted high-value assets within the convoy with precision strikes. The initial strikes inflicted significant damage, disrupting the convoy's formation. As the attacks intensified, panic spread among Russian soldiers. Many troops attempted to abandon their vehicles and flee before they were destroyed. However, Ukrainian forces systematically continued the assault, prioritizing the destruction of armored vehicles and logistical assets. A large portion of the convoy was rendered completely inoperable, leaving Russian troops stranded and forced to flee across open terrain. By the end of the operation, Ukrainian forces had completely annihilated the Russian convoy, disrupting the enemy's attack plans in the region. Ukraine frequently employs hit-and-run tactics, ambush attacks, and long-range precision strikes against Russian convoys. These attacks are designed to slow enemy advances, sever supply lines, and neutralize armored units. One of Ukraine's most effective strategies involves HIMARS and other precision-guided rocket systems, which strike Russian convoys while they are in motion. HIMARS units utilize high-precision munitions to target Russian supply lines, military vehicles, ammunition depots, and fuel tankers, all of which are high-priority targets. As a result, Russian forces struggle to transport ammunition and fuel to the front lines. Drones have also become a key factor in the war. Ukraine extensively uses Bayraktar TB2 drones, kamikaze UAVs, and loitering munitions to conduct remote attacks on Russian convoys. These drones offer a significant advantage in nighttime operations, keeping Russian forces under constant pressure and preventing them from moving freely. March 25, 2025, drone operators from the 155th Mechanized Brigade detected the presence of several Russian infantry soldiers while conducting reconnaissance operations in the Shevchenko settlement in the Donetsk region. These Russian troops had likely survived previous convoy battles and were struggling to stay alive in the open terrain of the area. Moving independently, they attempted to hide, particularly distancing themselves from the enemy's organized and armored units. Ukrainian operators responded immediately to the detected targets. Precision strikes carried out with unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, targeted and neutralized these isolated Russian infantrymen. Such targets were among those that Ukrainian forces swiftly eliminated by utilizing their superior technological capabilities in the region. It had previously been observed that some surviving Russian soldiers from convoy attacks attempted to leave the terrain and hide in order to survive, as seen in this case. However, hiding in open terrain has become increasingly difficult due to the relentless surveillance of Ukrainian UAVs. These operations are considered a strategic maneuver to prevent enemy soldiers fleeing from their regular units from surviving for extended periods. Forests, abandoned buildings, basements, and natural cover are the primary shelters for Russian troops. If they remain, their radios fail, they lose communication with the outside world and become completely vulnerable to Ukraine's reconnaissance drone capabilities. Ukraine employs a systematic and multi-layered strategy to counter this situation. Initially, reconnaissance drones are used to locate surviving enemy troops. Instead of launching a direct assault, Ukrainian forces then target these positions with FPV kamikaze drones or mortar fire. If a building or shelter is large enough, long-range rocket systems such as HIMARS are used to destroy it entirely. For smaller groups of hidden Russian soldiers, Ukrainian special forces are deployed. These units conduct raids on abandoned locations, demanding surrender or eliminating those inside. At times, Ukraine also employs psychological warfare tactics, broadcasting surrender calls through loudspeakers or continuously harassing enemy troops with drones to weaken their morale. March 26, 2025. The 4th Rubij Rapid Response Brigade of the National Guard provides a detailed account of various operations carried out in and around Spirne, Donetsk region. In the first recorded incident, a Russian soldier is seen investigating a Ukrainian bunker. While it is unclear whether there are Ukrainian troops inside, the soldier's stance and lack of caution suggest that he assumes the bunker is empty. However, this mistake does not go unnoticed by Ukrainian troops. Moments later, the Ukrainian soldiers inside seize the opportunity and open fire, eliminating the Russian soldier. In another instant, several Russian soldiers are spotted moving across open terrain. Once the Ukrainian forces confirm the target's coordinates, they immediately launch an artillery strike. The explosion echoes loudly across the battlefield, triggering panic among the Russian troops. As they attempt to flee in disarray, they are tracked by a Ukrainian drone, which precisely strikes them, ensuring they do not survive. These precision drone strikes play a crucial role in neutralizing enemy soldiers with high accuracy. As the attack unfolds, additional Russian troops in the area are identified and systematically eliminated. Ukrainian forces effectively use reconnaissance and targeting capabilities to locate enemy hiding spots, swiftly neutralizing them before they can regroup or mount a counterattack.